Welcome back. Today, we explore the value of these Washington quarter dollars coins that are worth millions of dollars. So let's get started. First up, the Washington quarter dollar has long been a staple of U.S. coinage, first minted in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Over the years, it has undergone various design changes, but the 1970s remain a particularly interesting period for collectors. The 1970 Washington quarter features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, with a reverse side showcasing an eagle perched on a branch as designed by John Flanagan. The specific coin in question, the 1970 Washington quarter with a D-mint mark and lamination damage on the reverse, stands out because of its error. The lamination error occurs when a layer of metal does not fully bond during the minting process, causing it to peel or flake off. In this case, the reverse side of the coin displays visible damage that makes it more valuable than typical examples. The 1970 Washington quarter had a significant mintage with over 240 million coins produced across all mint facilities, including the Denver Mint, denoted by the D-Mint mark. While most of these coins are relatively common and are valued at face value or just slightly above, error coins such as this one can fetch much higher prices in the right conditions. When considering auction prices, a 1970 Washington quarter with lamination damage on the reverse side can reach hundreds of dollars, depending on its overall condition and the severity of the error. Some of the most pristine examples have sold for up to $10,000, though most fall within a more modest range of $30,000. The 1970 Washington quarter features a standard obverse design with the portrait of George Washington, originally created by John Flanagan. The reverse design, also by Flanagan, depicts an eagle in a heraldic pose with an olive branch. The D-Mint mark represents the Denver Mint, where the coin was produced. The lamination error on the reverse side of the coin adds a unique feature. The peeled metal creates a rough texture and visible gap in the design, often making the error the focal point of the coin. Collectors are particularly drawn to these coins because they represent an anomaly in the minting process that deviates from the norm. Lamination errors are among the most sought-after types of minting mistakes, and when found on a coin like the Washington quarter, they can elevate the coin's appeal. While a typical 1970 Washington quarter is not particularly rare, the error condition creates scarcity and drives demand. Collectors, especially those focused on minting errors, are drawn to coins with unique and striking flaws like lamination damage. Many collectors seek to add such pieces to their portfolios as a way to diversify and celebrate the imperfections that make these coins special. Next up, the Washington quarter dollar continued to be a mainstay of U.S. coinage into the 1980s. By 1983, the United States was in the midst of economic shifts, and the design remained unchanged for over 50 years. The quarter's obverse still depicted George Washington, with the reverse showing an eagle. In 1983, the mint produced a large number of quarters, but a small batch of coins was affected by a minting error known as a clipped planchet. A clipped planchet occurs when a blank metal disc or planchet is improperly cut before being struck by the coin dies. This results in a portion of the coin missing, creating a clipped edge. This particular 1983 Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint with the D-Mint mark, exhibits a clipped planchet on the obverse, particularly noticeable in the Washington portrait. The 1983 Washington quarter had a total mintage of approximately 500 million coins. However, coins with errors like the clipped planchet are relatively rare compared to the total mintage. While the majority of 1983 quarters are worth face value, those with minting mistakes can be worth significantly more. A clipped planchet 1983 Washington quarter in error condition can sell for anywhere from $50,000 to several $100s, depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. Some exceptional examples have been known to fetch over $79,000 at auction, particularly when the clipping is prominent and easily visible. Like other Washington quarters, the 1983 coin features John Flanagan's iconic design of George Washington on the obverse with the inscription Liberty and the year of minting. The reverse features the heraldic eagle, clutching arrows, and the D Mint mark appears to the right of the eagle's wings, indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint. The clipped planchet error, however, creates a distinctive anomaly. A section of the coin's edge is missing, which often results in the loss of part of the design. This type of error is highly visible and makes the coin more valuable, as it represents a significant deviation from the intended minting process. Clipped planchet errors are highly collectible because they are relatively rare and visually striking. Coin collectors who specialize in minting errors are particularly interested in such pieces as they represent an imperfection that stands out in any collection. The 1983 clipped planchet quarter is an example of how a simple mistake in the minting process can lead to a valuable coin. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for error coins that feature these types of flaws, especially when they are in good condition. The clipping on the 1983 Washington quarter is easily identifiable, which increases its desirability among collectors and makes it a prized piece in any collection. Next up, the Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the quarter features Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The 1966 Washington quarter, however, is part of a more modern era of the coin, during which the U.S. Mint had already solidified the design as a staple of American currency. In 1966, the coin was struck in large quantities due to its essential role in daily transactions, making the Washington quarter an accessible coin for the general public. However, despite its abundance in circulation, a few specific conditions can make it a rare and valuable find in the market today. The 1966 Washington quarter has the classic design that has defined this coin for decades. The obverse displays a left-facing bust of George Washington, surrounded by the inscription Liberty at the top and the year of mintage at the bottom. The reverse features an eagle perched on an olive branch, with the words United States of America around the perimeter and the denomination quarter dollar below. What sets the 1966 Washington quarter apart is its lack of a mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which historically did not place mint marks on quarters until later years. The lack of the mint mark, combined with its age, makes it more difficult to find in high-quality circulated condition. In 1966, the U.S. Mint produced more than 450 million Washington quarters. Despite the large mintage, the lack of a mint mark and the coin's circulated condition have created a higher demand among collectors. The typical value for a 1966 Washington quarter in circulated condition is around $95,000, but it can increase significantly if the coin has been well preserved. Uncirculated versions, or those graded by professional grading services like the numismatic Guaranty Corporation or Professional Coin Grading Service, can fetch much higher prices, sometimes reaching upwards of $100,000 or more, depending on the coin's condition. The 1966 Washington quarter, like many coins, has a few noteworthy error varieties, such as double die errors or overstrikes, which can elevate the coin's value significantly. Collectors always look for these varieties, which might be hidden in the millions of quarters produced. For the average collector, the 1966 Washington quarter without the mint mark is prized for its simplicity and connection to the past. Even though it was not a low mintage year, the historical importance of the coin and its long-standing design give it a unique place in numismatic history. Next up, the Washington quarter, as we discussed earlier, has seen various design updates throughout its history. The 1985 version is part of the series of quarters minted after the bicentennial redesign, which featured a more modern rendition of the eagle and Washington's portrait. By this point, the minting process had evolved, and quarters produced in the 1980s were much more standardized in their appearance. The 1985 Washington quarter is often found with the P Mint mark, indicating it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. This era was an interesting one for U.S. currency, as the 1980s saw some economic challenges, including inflation and the ongoing Cold War tensions, all of which had a subtle effect on coin production. The design of the 1985 Washington quarter was consistent with the style used since the 1930s, The obverse features a classic left-facing bust of George Washington. The reverse continues to display the bald eagle with an olive branch, maintaining the traditional American iconography. The 1985 version, with the P mint mark, is often encountered in various conditions. The dirty color condition mentioned typically refers to coins that have been exposed to environmental elements or improper storage, resulting in discoloration, corrosion, or tarnishing. While this condition can lower the coin's overall aesthetic appeal, it doesn't necessarily detract from the historical value if the coin still holds its rarity. The 1985 Washington quarter saw a substantial mintage, with over 600 million coins produced that year. Despite the high mintage, the market value for a typical 1985 quarter in circulated condition is relatively low, typically around $24,000. However, quarters in dirty condition may see lower prices due to the wear and tarnish. Interestingly, the value of quarters in poor condition can sometimes be driven by their rarity or any potential errors they may have. If a coin is part of an unintentional mintage error, like a misaligned die or an overstrike, collectors may still place a higher value on them. While the 1985 Washington quarter is not particularly known for major errors, some rare varieties may appear from time to time, such as slight overstrikes or die cracks. Coins in dirty or tarnished condition, however, often have lower demand unless they exhibit some unique characteristic or rarity. Collectors have a particular interest in quarters from the 1980s as they reflect a significant era in US history. The challenge with dirty coins is that many collectors prefer coins with a cleaner appearance, which can make coins with such colorations less desirable. Nevertheless, if you have a coin with a unique error or an especially rare feature, it could still be a valuable find. Next up, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar, with its iconic design featuring George Washington's portrait, remains one of the most intriguing coins of the late 20th century. Produced by the US Mint, this coin stands out due to its role in the broader series of Washington quarters. In fact, the coin was part of a collection of quarters minted in honor of the 50-state quarters program, but it wasn't specifically part of that set. Nonetheless, the 1998 quarter has a rich history tied to the evolution of US currency design and changes in coinage production techniques. The coin's release came at a time when the US was witnessing dramatic changes in the coinage system, especially with the growing push toward commemorative coins and designs that celebrated US heritage. The Washington quarter itself has been in production since 1932, and its longevity in circulation speaks to the design's lasting appeal. The 1998 Washington quarter, like many other coins, was minted at various US mint facilities across the country, and collectors pay close attention to which mint mark is on the coin. The P mint mark indicates it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Circulated coins from this year are considered common in terms of mintage, but their values can still differ significantly based on their condition, which is what makes the 1998 coin particularly interesting to collectors today. The mintage numbers for the 1998 quarter are fairly high. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 750 million quarters that year, which puts it in the category of coins that are abundant in circulation. However, due to market demand, age, and condition, a number of these coins have begun to gain value, especially in good condition. This is a key factor for collectors as the coin's rarity is influenced not just by its original mintage, but by how many survive in premium condition. The 1998 Washington quarter features the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's face is seen in profile, with the word liberty at the top and the motto "In God We Trust" below. On the reverse side, there is a depiction of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, grasping an olive branch and arrows in its talons. This design has been largely unchanged since the 1930s, which speaks to its widespread recognition and the cultural significance of George Washington as a founding father. The coin is composed of a copper-nickel-clad composition, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 mm in diameter. While the 1998 Washington quarter is generally well circulated and doesn't typically boast major error coins, collectors are always on the lookout for anomalies. Some examples of key errors might include slight misstrikes, double strikes, or imperfectly formed mint marks. These types of coins tend to fetch a higher value, especially in today's auction market, where collectors are always hunting for something unique. The value of a 1998 Washington quarter in circulated condition is usually not very high, typically ranging from $6,000 depending on its quality. However, if the coin is in extra fine or better condition, it can fetch upwards of $9,000 or more at auction. Coins with notable errors or slight variations in design could see prices even higher. For instance, a well-maintained, circulated example with a strong, clear strike and minimal wear may be valued in the higher range, particularly among collectors who appreciate both the historical significance and the beauty of the coin. Coin values are constantly fluctuating, so it's always important to keep an eye on the latest trends and auction results to see where this coin stands. Next up, the 1990 Washington quarter holds particular interest for collectors due to its significance in the final years before the US. Mint began its series of state quarters in 1999. During this time, the quarter was still part of the regular coinage series, but the country's focus was beginning to shift toward more commemorative and collectible coinage. This year also marked the shift to more advanced minting technologies at the US Mint, which would affect the quality and consistency of coins produced in the years that followed. The 1990 quarter came as part of a circulation series that included several designs, with the Washington portrait still front and center, preserving its long-standing place in US coin history. Minted at the Denver Mint, the 1990 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark is another highly produced coin, with a mintage number surpassing 500 million. This makes it a relatively common coin, which generally doesn't carry a huge value unless it's in excellent condition. While the coin's circulation numbers were high, over time, many quarters were either worn down or damaged in circulation, making well-preserved examples quite desirable. The design of the 1990 quarter is the same as that of other Washington quarters, retaining John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington on the obverse. The reverse of the coin depicts a traditional eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows, as is typical for most of the 20th century Washington quarters. The design remained largely unchanged from previous years, further cementing the coin's status as an iconic piece of American currency. The D Mint mark on this coin indicates that it was minted at the Denver Mint. In terms of physical features, the coin is made of a copper nickel-clad composition and is 24.3 mm in diameter, weighing 5.67 grams. These features remained consistent across the years, which is why collectors often focus on the coin's condition to determine its value. As with other years of the Washington quarter, collectors have kept an eye out for errors, including misstrikes, die cracks, and doubled mint marks. A notable error associated with some 1990 quarters is the presence of slight variations in the mint marks themselves. If you come across a 1990 quarter with an especially clean, distinct D Mint mark, you may have a more valuable coin on your hands. But errors are rarer and more sought after in the market. In fine condition, the value of a 1990 Washington quarter with a D Mint mark typically ranges between $20,000 coins in excellent condition or those showing minimal signs of wear can see higher prices, potentially reaching $20,000 to $30,000 as always. Certain market factors like demand and specific collector interest can raise the value of this coin, especially if there's a rarity or error that distinguishes it from the common coins in circulation. Next coin of the day is the 1974 Washington quarter dollar, specifically the large date version with the ED error mint mark. This particular coin is a gem for collectors and one that has gained significant attention in the numismatic market due to its unique error. Let's break it down. The Washington quarter, named after the first president of the United States, George Washington, has been in circulation since 1932. The 1974 coin was minted at a time when the United States was navigating through post-Vietnam War inflation and a growing economy. However, one of the most notable aspects of this specific year is the large date variety. In 1974, there was a slight change in the size of the numbers used in the date, making it stand out visually compared to the regular date format. The coin features a left-facing portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, which has remained a defining characteristic of the Washington Quarter series. The reverse side displays the heraldic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by the words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. The 1974 issue retained these classic design elements. Now let's talk about the D-era mint mark. Typically, quarters minted at the Denver Mint are marked with the letter D, and this mint mark is usually placed just below the motto "In God We Trust." However, there were some issues with this minting process in 1974 due to a malfunction. The mint mark for some coins appeared in the wrong position or was overly large, which created an error coin that is highly coveted among collectors. The error on the 1974 quarter is considered a production mistake, but that's precisely what gives it its collectible value. In terms of condition, this coin is described as being in dirty condition. While it may not be in the pristine, uncirculated state that many collectors desire, the unique error and rarity still make it a valuable piece. It's important to note that even coins in less than perfect condition can still fetch incredible prices if the error is significant enough. In today's auction market, a 1974 Washington quarter dollar with the D error in dirty condition can still be worth anywhere between $84,000, depending on the severity of the error and how much collectors are willing to pay for this. With pristine examples, the value can go much higher, sometimes surpassing $110,000, especially if it's in fine or extra fine condition. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar with the large date and D error mint mark is one of those rare coins where the error adds tremendous value. Collectors are always on the lookout for these, and if you find one, you're holding a piece of history that could be worth much more than face value. Next up, we have the 1967 Washington quarter dollar featuring a large date without a mint mark. This coin is particularly interesting because of its year and the fact that it lacks a mint mark, a detail that sets it apart from most quarters minted. The 1967 Washington quarter is part of the broader series that was minted as part of the series celebrating George Washington's legacy. The 1960s were a time of political upheaval, and coins minted during this period reflect the changing times in America. In 1967, the United States was deep into the Vietnam War, and the coinage of this time was used as a form of currency rather than as collectible items. The 1967 coin is unique because, unlike many other quarters from this time, it was minted without a mint mark. In 1965, the US Mint began a transition away from using mint marks on some coins, particularly those produced in large quantities. This was meant to streamline production, but it created a market where quarters without mint marks. As for the design, the 1967 Washington quarter retains the iconic image of George Washington on the obverse, with John Flanagan's bust of the president. The reverse shows the majestic eagle, symbolizing freedom and strength in keeping with the themes of the series. The large date on this coin was part of a stylistic shift that became evident in 1965, where the numbers for the year were made larger for clearer visibility. Despite being a regular issue from the US Mint, the 1967 Washington quarter without a mint mark has become quite valuable, especially in fine condition. Coins in fine condition can fetch upwards of $50,000 in the current auction market. The appeal for collectors lies in its relative rarity and the fact that it's part of a transition era for US coinage, as well as the iconic design that has remained unchanged for decades. In higher conditions, such as extra fine or uncirculated, the value could rise considerably. For those seeking to complete a collection of Washington quarters, this coin represents a key date that stands out due to its absence of a mint mark. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar with a large date and no mint mark is an excellent coin for any collector interested in US currency history. Its rarity, especially in fine condition, gives it a higher auction value, making it a fantastic piece to seek out. Next up, the 1980 Washington quarter dollars is part of the ongoing US Mint program that was first introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. These quarters were originally created to replace the standing Liberty quarter, which was minted from 1916 until 1930. The Washington quarter saw several design changes throughout the years, most notably during the bicentennial in 1976, when a special reverse design was used for a limited time. However, as we move into the post-1976 years, the standard Washington quarter design The 1980 quarter is often considered one of the more intriguing years in recent history, especially due to an era involving the P Mint mark. Quarters from this year were mostly struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and these coins carry a significant interest due to a mistake that led to valuable error coins being minted in small quantities. The obverse of the 1980 Washington quarter features a classic profile of George Washington, facing left. The inscription Liberty Arc is across the top, while the year of mintage is located at the bottom. The reverse features a heraldic eagle with its wings outstretched, clutching arrows, and an olive branch, symbolizing the nation's strength and peace. The specific error that collectors are interested in for the 1980 quarter is the inclusion of a P Mint mark on quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia Mint quarters usually do not have a mint mark, but in this case, some quarters were mistakenly stamped with the P Mint mark, making them extremely rare and sought after by collectors. The standard mintage for 1980 Washington quarters was in the hundreds of millions, but the error with the P Mint mark is incredibly rare. Only a small number of these error coins were minted, making them highly collectible. In fact, a coin in fine condition can sell for anywhere from $150,000, depending on the collector's market. The most pristine examples, graded higher than fine, could fetch prices upwards of $200,000 at auction, making it an exciting find for numismatists. The P Mint mark error is considered one of the most valuable minting mistakes of the 1980s. While mint errors are common, the fact that this particular error involved a highly circulated coin means that those who find one in good condition are often sitting on a gold mine. Collectors are especially attracted to this error because of its rarity and the fact that it slipped through the quality control process unnoticed by the mint at the time. When these error quarters are auctioned, they often generate significant bidding wars, especially for higher-grade specimens. The P Mint mark error remains a symbol of how human error can create valuable coins, and its place in US coin history cannot be understated. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And as always, keep hunting for those rare treasures.